wealthy Wednesday to everyone out there. My name is Stephanie Miller-Henderson, and I am your host for the Legacy Lab, 60 Minutes to Black Financial Freedom. I am super excited and grateful to be here with you on today. You are absolutely in for a treat. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be here with the Legacy Lab, 60 Minutes to Black Financial Freedom, with a focus around all conversations actually will have a focus around the importance of increasing Black wealth. Great afternoon to those of you who are tuning in via my Facebook Live at Stephanie Miller-Henderson. Great afternoon to those of you that are tuning in via intellectualradio.com, which is your first stop to view the Legacy Lab live on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then shout out to those of you that are viewing via YouTube, the intellectualradio.com's YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy afternoon to listen in. And also remember to like, to comment, to share, leave your questions, leave your comments, and make sure you subscribe to intellectualradio.com's YouTube channel so that you will not miss the great content that is shared through this platform. I definitely want to make sure I give a shout out to the creators of intellectualradio.com, because what they do is allow the community, those of us in the community, leaders, organizers, people to have a voice on this platform. And so I am super grateful for Wanda and for Earl for their work with intellectualradio.com. I was a guest on Intellectual Radio some time ago around education with another colleague who was serving as a teacher, as an administrator in her school district. But now I am here for and with and by myself on today as your host, Stephanie Miller-Henderson, born and raised on the east side of Chicago. East side of the Chi, everybody. Chicago, one of the most beautiful cities in the country. Chicago, the third largest city in the United States of America, a global city, a city that has a lot of Black history. And so we'll dive into some of those things and some of those points again as it relates to wealth. But let me tell you a little bit about myself and my journey. I have spent over 2 decades in the field of mental health, serving with one of the oldest social services agencies. And when I say old, I'm talking about civil rights, civil war old. This agency is over 100 years old. But I got a lot of great training around how to intervene therapeutically with people that are deemed to be those that have social or emotional or behavioral issues. And so I'm super grateful for that training, but I served and continue to serve as a mental health professional, most recently as a school counselor within the Chicago Public School District. But I have currently stepped away from that role as I finish up my dissertation. And so I plan to, this year, be walking across that stage with that PhD and continue research around leadership, continue research around counseling within the school system, school setting. And I'm super grateful and excited about that. But also some more things about me. I am a mom of an amazing Gen Zer, amazing young adult who at some point you'll get an opportunity to, hear from her and all the wonderful things that she is doing, and hear, allow her to use her gifts and her talents on this platform. But also I am a wife to an amazing and supportive husband. I hope that you are out there watching, listening. I'm sure you are. My husband, Carlton, is phenomenal. He is very supportive of all endeavors, and he is a man of God. So shout out to the men of God out there, because, you know, when they love the Lord and they love their mamas, then, you know, we ain't good. All right. So in addition to that, viewers and listeners, I am an author. And so I have written a series called the Young Yet Chosen series. And it pretty much is, you know, it's the three books focus on David, Joash, and Timothy. And they're all young people in the Bible that God used to do amazing things. I love to tell stories about the underdog, you know, the people that are often counted out or considered to be unqualified, and then something amazing happens through them. And so that's the book series. You can definitely go find those anywhere that books are sold. And lastly, I am the founder and director of Mommy and Me Ministries. And Mommy and Me Ministries is a nonprofit organization that provides services and support for young people, children, and teens while their moms are incarcerated. So while their moms are serving time in jail or prison, we provide support groups around grief, loss, other opportunities to teach young people coping skills, how to deal with that traumatic event of parental incarceration. We also provide support for women post-incarceration. So I do a lot of outreach to housing programs within the city of Chicago and give to those women as needed. Lastly, and I think I said lastly already, but I will be remiss if I did not shout out my amazing, absolutely amazing church family. When I tell you that my Christian education, that my love for the word, because everything, there's nothing new under the sun. You can go and get that inspiration, and you can go and get the blueprint from the Bible. And so I want to shout out any of my Calvary Baptist Church family that are listening, and especially my pastor, Reverend Dr. James R. Flint Jr. I serve in several capacities within my church, as well as, you know, just being a leader within the church, a Sunday school teacher, working with the dance ministry, outreach to the unhoused, and so many different things. As I mentioned to my first lady earlier, I truly do believe that service is the rent that you pay for occupying a space on this earth. And so if you are not serving, what are you doing, right? Because it's not just about us, but it's about how we can help other people. And so I see the love coming in from Facebook. Make sure you like, love, comment, share. Let me know your thoughts, drop some questions. But also, as we move through this show and something is tugging on your heart, now, make sure it's along the lines of the conversation around increasing Black wealth. But if it is tugging at your heart, you can feel free to call in and have your comment, your question, or your concern at 708-223-8953. Again, that call-in number is 708-223-8953. And I would love to hear from you. All right. So again, you are tuning in with me, Stephanie Miller-Henderson, on the Legacy Lab, 60 Minutes to Black Financial Freedom. And I see you all. Hey there to my amazing hubby chiming in. Thank you so much. Continue love and prayers for you. Let me talk a little bit about why this conversation is so important, right? Why do we even need to be talking about increasing Black wealth? Let's get right now. I got everything out of the way. So let's just dive into it. I don't know if you have been under a rock these past few weeks. But if you have not, then you know that prior to the presidential election, Elon Musk's net worth was $402 billion. Billion with the B. Jeff Bezos' net worth was $249 billion with the B. Mark Zuckerberg's net worth was $252 billion with a B. Now, let me give a disclaimer. I have nothing against building wealth for anyone of any background, any ethnicity. I believe that building wealth is important. And why do I believe that? It's because I believe that God is concerned about our finances. It costs to take care of the people in our lives that mean everything to us. It costs to give to organizations or causes that mean everything to us. It costs to live and exist in this world. And so I believe, that people should definitely have access to that. If they want to, right? You have some people that may not want to be a billionaire. And I would love for you to call in and tell me why. But, it is no judgment. But for me, I definitely believe that, it's not the fact that you have the wealth, but it's what you do with it, right? It's how you utilize it. And so I just want to make sure I gave that disclaimer because I am a wealth building advocate. In addition to all the things that I mentioned, all the things that I'm passionate about, I truly understand that in order for me to really impact change on a broader scale, then I need money to do that, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that. And let me also add that I am a believer in Deuteronomy 8:18, which stresses that the Lord gives us the ability to accumulate wealth. So, I'm not one of those people that believe that we're called to be in poverty, that we're called to be poor. So that's not what this is about at all. Again, I will stress that for me, it is the how and it is the who that may suffer as you obtain wealth, right? That if you do not already have a certain character about yourself, then the money that you accumulate, the wealth that you accumulate is only going to further those negative causes, right? And so again, it's not an attack, on the wealthy, because I'm speaking that over my life and the life of everyone that is connected to me. But it is your character. It is what you do with it and how you utilize it that becomes the problem. So let's dig a little bit deeper. I'm a data girl. I love the facts and the numbers because men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. So 60%, and some sources actually say 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. I'm going to repeat that. Because either way, whether it's 60 or 78, depending on the source, it's still too much. It's more than 50. More than half of the people in this country live paycheck to paycheck. What does that mean? Many of you viewing probably know exactly what that means, or listening probably know exactly what that means. That means that 10 times out of 10, before you even get your payroll from your job or your career, it is already accounted for. It is already gone before you get it. That's what it means to live paycheck to paycheck. And as one of my favorite millionaire gurus, Dr. Lynn Richardson, would say, some people live in paycheck to Monday, right? You may not even make it paycheck to paycheck. It may be accounted for even well before the next pay period rolls around. So that's a problem, right? Now, 85 million people are uninsured or underinsured. 85 million people. That means that they cannot walk into a clinic and or a doctor's office, a health facility, and receive adequate health care. That is a problem. 25% of seniors are elderly, are seasoned people, the elders, those that have sacrificed, the wise ones, 25% of them are trying to survive on $15,000 or less annually. So when you hear people say, I'm on a fixed income, that's a problem. We don't want to be on a fixed income when we have unlimited resources, right? So keep that in mind. That's a problem. 800,000 people, and this number has fluctuated, right? Especially depending on which city and state you are in. But 800,000 people across this country are unhoused. We actually have the highest rates of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. So I'm giving you some serious data points, and I hope that you have both your ears open to hear this. Right now, if you have been paying attention, if you have been, watching and listening to the news cycles, and of course, as a mental health advocate, I would definitely suggest that you take it in bite sizes, right? Do not just immerse yourself in that, because you do not want to have that vicarious stress that will come along with that. But you definitely want to be informed. You need to know what is happening. You need to know. You may not be a lover of politics, but politics and economics shape almost everything that happens across the globe, right? And so right now, there appears to be an attack on what is considered to be the working class. What is the working class? The working class are individuals who they're not at the poverty line, but they're extremely close. They're not considered middle class. They're not making a middle class salary or a middle class wage to contribute to a salary. They don't have the savings and the investments and all of the assets that upper middle class individuals may have. These are people that are living paycheck to paycheck, or people that the day that they get their paycheck, it's already gone. That's a problem. So what I want to be able to share on this platform are ways that we, as Black people in this country, can start to learn wealth building principles, can start to teach wealth building principles, can start to utilize wealth building principles so that we might build wealth. I just want to share, that as it relates to wealth, with, Black individuals in this country versus our white individuals, we're at a 10 times lower rate as it relates to building wealth. And again, that's a problem. I want to continue to point these things out. I can share that growing up, that was not a discussion at the dinner table. We didn't talk about savings. We didn't talk about credit scores. We didn't talk about having multiple income streams. We didn't talk about what that looked like. Most of you can probably attest to this, that growing up, if, you have parents and grandparents or, people in your family, guardians that talked about education, you were taught to, go get your degree and go get a good job. You were especially taught to get those government jobs, right? Like the city job. Oh, you working for the city. You get good salary, good benefits. You were really pushed to go into those city jobs, right? So that's like the school districts, the post office, working down at city hall, all the things. You were taught to do those things because the understanding was, if you go to school and you get a good education and you get a good job, then you're set. That's not true. That's a problem. A lot of us do not learn that until we've reached the second half of our lives, right? So when I say the second half, I mean now you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, you're in your 60s, and some people even in their 70s have now come to the conclusion and the realization that my good job was not enough. It just didn't cut it. And then I want to also address something that is very prevalent. People go and get multiple jobs. People are out here working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs because the thought is, well, I need more income, so let me go and get another job. So I want to stress and share that on this section of the show of intellectualradio.com, I want to be able to educate and empower you to know that 2, 3, and 4 jobs is for 2, 3, and 4 people. That there are opportunities out here. Although many times there's a lot of gatekeeping that happens as it relates to sharing those resources with the Black community. But please know and hear the words that are coming out of my mouth that there are opportunities out here today where you can literally change the financial bloodline of your family for generations to come. So what does that mean and what does that look like? That means that no longer will you have to, we're not just even going to go back to the paycheck to paycheck. No longer will you, of course, have to do that. But no longer will you have to say, okay, well, I'm making close to 6 figures, but I'm spending 6 figures. You can make 6 figures, 7 figures, and you can save 6 and 7 figures. You can not necessarily harp on paying an insurance policy or paying that monthly insurance bill because you have income that is perpetual. And we'll talk a little bit about that. You have perpetual income. So perpetual income is, we call it cash flow. Flow, hence the word flow. It's when you have positioned yourself to have income that follows you continuously. It flows. That means that even when you transition, because none of us will live forever, it means that your family will not have to put up a GoFundMe in order to give you a respectable and a beautiful homegoing service. Because the income will be there, right? And so I want to share some basic principles. And before I even get into that, because I know, there might be some people that's listening, and again, I hope that you really pay close attention and maybe even took notes on those statistics that were shared. And let me share the source of that. I saw a video that Bernie Sanders did. And I do a lot of, with the training and the coaching and the mentoring that I get in my business, that you will later hear about. We talk a lot about where people are financially in this country, right? Because you want to be able to educate people. You want to be able to meet the needs of the people. And you can't do that if you don't know where they are. So I take a lot of time to read and gather facts, data, points, statistics. And so that's why I really wanted to make sure all of you had that information. But let's talk about this. Like, if you grew up in Chicago, and please, all of my Chicago listeners, definitely you can call in and share, your viewpoint on this. But growing up in the 80s, I saw the presence of Black businesses in the South Shore community. As I mentioned, I'm born and raised on the East Side, been there all of my life. Don't even know what other city I would live in. And And, I'm going to definitely shout out the food. Everybody that's from Chicago, we definitely feel like nobody has better food than we do. But I remember seeing more Black-owned businesses on that 79th Street corridor, on that 87th Street corridor. And then I didn't, right? And this was not even, before I went to Chicago Vocational Career Academy. I'm going to shout out everything and everybody. Shout out to all of the CVS alum. Shout out to any and everybody listening or watching that attended Horace Mann. Shout out to all of the East Side of Chicago people. Send me some love in the comment section. Share some love. But I saw it and then I didn't, right? And so one thing that I know that definitely impacted the deterioration of Black businesses in our community was the prevalence of drugs. And so these things, that became an influx in the community, it definitely tore it apart. And so you fast forward to 2025. Now we're talking about how that, the tearing down of so many of those businesses, so many of those organizations, the centers, so much of the funding that may have been flowing through the community, it no longer exists. And so you fast forward to today, you go into those same areas, those same corridors that I mentioned, and it looks desolate, right? You don't see, what you see when you go to other communities within the city of other ethnic backgrounds. You see a lot of vacancies. You see a lot of businesses and buildings that are boarded. And so that's a problem. That's a problem. We are now the most educated. We are in the most leadership positions. And that includes in, local and state government. And in leadership positions within the systems, right? Healthcare, education, criminal justice. We are in position. And so if our communities are still looking desolate, part of it is because, we've arrived to these positions. We're in position, but I feel like nobody wants to talk about money. Nobody wants to talk about it, but they'll ask you if they can borrow it, right? And when I say that, I mean not just your family that may want to borrow $40 or $50. I mean, even if you have to go into a bank and apply for a loan, I definitely don't want to encourage you to go to a payday loan place. That's something totally different. We'll get into that on another segment when we start to talk about loans and banking and things of that nature. But it's a problem when money is like a secret. It's like a hush hush. If there is a conversation around financial literacy, it's always about, how can you increase your credit score? How can you save? And I'm like, well, if you don't have nothing to save, what are you going to save? Right? If you don't have any cash coming in, if you are part of that 78% that's living paycheck to paycheck, you think people are concerned about their credit score if they're living paycheck to paycheck? And so I want to make sure that we understand that first we need to make it, then we need to save it, and then we need to invest it. First we need to make it, then we need to save it, and then we need to invest it. So part of what I will be doing every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time here on the Legacy Lab is sharing with you some tangible tools and resources that you can utilize to increase wealth. In addition to that, I believe in supporting Black-owned businesses. I highly believe in supporting Black-owned businesses, and I am very loyal to that. this t-shirt that I have on that says make an impact, build an empire, leave a legacy. And that has my barcode on the sleeve from my website. That comes from the owner of Craft It Up, Melissa, who is a fellow graduate of CVS. These bracelets that I have on that has this beautiful scripture that says he restores my soul, Psalms 23:3. That comes from my awesome first lady, Thursday Flint, who is very creative. She does a bunch of different things, and she's also a member of Delta Sigma Theta. So I believe wholeheartedly in supporting Black businesses. And Black business owners, please know that it has to be some reciprocity in that, right? Like how you do trading and bartering. You have someone that's loyal to you as a customer supporting you. Please support in return. I feel like you have a duty and a responsibility. We have a duty and a responsibility to support one another, especially if someone has supported you. And so one of the things that I want to make sure I leave you with, and prior to, I am expecting one of those Black-owned business owners to give me a call. And again, that number is 708-223-8953, because something that I want to do before ending this show is making sure I highlight a Black business. And of course, I'm going to start on the East Side first, because that's my side of town. So I'm going to start on the East Side and highlight an amazing, thriving Black business in that community that is giving back to the community. And I have done a lot of work with this young lady. She is a business partner of mine. And so I do want to make sure I would be remiss if I did not highlight a Black business. I highlighted two just a second ago, but I'm going to highlight another one. But before I do that, I want to play a clip for you. Make sure you listen in. I'm going to play this clip. This is a clip from Dick Gregory. Many of you know Dick Gregory, writer, activist, comedian. Many of you know him. I want you to listen to this clip that's titled Advice to Young African Americans.
When I wake up in the morning, my prayers, and I thank God I woke up. The people clan woke up this morning. The drug pushers woke up this morning. I thank God that I made another 24 hours in the most vicious, nasty, hateful, insane nation that's ever existed, with my wits, without hating, without being bitter, without being mean. And I thank God that I survived 24 hours in that type of atmosphere, with the type of amusement and friendliness. And so I would say to young folks, don't be in a state of denial of the racism and sexism, but don't let that block you. Don't teach your children that you have to be twice as good as a white. That's an awful thing to teach your children. Mm-hmm. That's like saying because you're Black, white America has a right to change your dollar for 94 cents. But we used to get 50 cents, and before that we used to get nothing. Young folks have to say, we don't want more change for $1. Excuse me, we want a full dollar's change for $1, or this cash register will never ring again.
Yes.
I would also like for young Blacks to understand that about 83% of all employment happen with small businesses. And if you don't have a small business, then you have nobody to work for you. And I would say to young Blacks, get into entrepreneurship. We will never catch up with white America when we get into business, because there's a thing called tax write-offs. And if you have a job and come together, 10 of you, and open up a corporation and have somebody run it, you hire somebody to run it, but you have tax write-offs. 98% of people that fly first class on airplanes would not be there if that wasn't a write-off. And yet, on that first class, they gave away last year $800 million, almost $1 billion of free whiskey. But if a welfare mother asked for some apple juice for the baby, she's laughed at. And so I would say entrepreneurship, and then understand that we will never survive as a group until we get into communities and not neighborhoods. A community is, I control the police, the banks, the schools, the firefighters, and I control the flow of the money. And I have no problem when I go in a Jewish neighborhood and the shop owners are Jewish, and I go into an Italian neighborhood and shop owners are Italian. I have a problem when I come in a black neighborhood and the shop owners is not me. A Korean has a right to come in and buy my shop for $30 million more than it's worth. That's good business. But if we decide that we're not going to do business with that one, then he'll have to sell it back, or she'll have to sell it back to a black person for $1 million. And then the money circulates, and that's how you change. We've been so busy dealing with the hurt and the pain and the misery and glamorizing a handful that have made it, that we have never really looked at, like they say, your role model. If you haven't got a role model in your house, you should fall on your knees and pray to God because something is wrong.
Yes.
And so I would say to young folks, it's not about alcohol, but it's hard for me to say that to you when a 5-year-old got to reach past mama's beer and papa's wine to get some mayonnaise. I would also say to young folks that the number one drug that will wipe you out is not cocaine, it's not heroin, it's marijuana. And they deliberately make that a recreation drug, but it stays in the muscles, it stays in the blood, and it will wipe out your memory bank. And also, this is the first time in the history of TB that TB has always been known as poor folks. It's the first time that TB is not running rampant in the ghetto. It's running rampant in middle-income white America because it's the marijuana that they spray, and that's no accident. And so I would just say to young folks, you have to reevaluate everything you've been taught. I would say to the black folks that just because a black person is 90 years old don't mean they have wisdom, and you need to listen to them, because if you was dumb and stupid when you was 9, you dumb and stupid when you 90.
All right. So let's kind of talk about what some of those. I want to kind of talk about something, and I want you to make sure you are lighting up the comment section, because I want to take some time and go back and look at this. But this is an old clip. I feel like it was probably posted 15 years ago, but it is so relevant today. You know, I'm reminded of the scripture in Ecclesiastes that says that there's nothing new. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that happens in a season. And so Dick Gregory talks about an economic blackout. We see that. Some of us participated in that, right? He talks about the importance of stopping spending with companies and corporations that do not have our best interests at heart. He talks about understanding the power in small business and cooperative economics coming together to build. So while I am supporting Black-owned businesses, I also in turn need that support from my Black brothers and sisters in my Black-owned business. That is the only way that we are going to get ahead. We are stronger together than we can ever be apart. And so I want everybody to understand that, because even in my business, we're so used to people, you know, making money off of us that we can't comprehend when somebody approaches us and wants to make money with us. We look at it, we shy away from that. We're skeptical about that. That is not going to allow you to build wealth and to live a better life while you're on this earth, and then allow your generations to come, your heirs, to live a better life when you are no longer on this earth. He also talks about understanding the power of entrepreneurship. If you do not own a business, what are you doing? That's a problem. If you do not own a business, that is a problem. There are so many things that you can monetize, but when you are the things that you are passionate about, the things that you are interested in, you should be monetizing that. You should be turning that into a business. And definitely, let me point out that under the Harrison-Biden administration, there were more than 430,000 small business applications per month. Per month. They saw the highest increase of small business applicants than any administration in history. So people, that is a hint and that is a clue that if you do not own a business, what are you doing? And then in addition to that, let me share that within that business ownership community, 70%, 60 to 70% of them are home-based. Let me say that again. Within that 430,000 businesses, 70 to 80% of them are home-based. So I want you to keep that in mind, because when he's talking about tax write-offs, building wealth, having access to tax write-offs, a home-based business is where it's at. All right. So it looks like my caller, the business owner that I am expecting, has made it to the line. Great afternoon. Thank you for calling the Legacy Lab. 60 minutes to Black financial freedom. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
You have the pleasure of speaking with Karshina Washington, and I am the owner of Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center. How are you?
Hey, sis. I am fantastic.
Hi.
How are you on this wealthy, wonderful Wednesday?
I'm winning. It's a winning Wednesday.
And
we've been winning since the beginning. Yes.
And it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Karshina Washington is a business partner of mine on our wealth building journey. We have positioned ourselves to live a life of financial freedom and have personal freedom and be able to get up and do what we want when we want by way of the $11 trillion travel industry. And in addition to that, she does so many other phenomenal things. So, Karshina, tell us a little bit about the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center.
So, the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center is located on the southeast side of Chicago. We call this area South Chicago. So, we're over here, and we are pretty much coming in this community to offer affordable arts education for youth, children, and adults with a community-based structure. So that just entails us working in the community, with the community, partnering with different organizations like ourselves who don't have a particular space, so they can bring their programs in here and we all be under that hub. So that's what we've been doing. We've been doing everything from working with our youth and our babies to our children, to our mothers, to our fathers, to the family. And where creativity meets purpose. And that's what we've been doing over here for the past 5 years as I've been here in June.
That is phenomenal, Karshina. And thank you so much for your servant leadership. Thank you so much for having a heart for the people, having a heart for the young people. And because that is absolutely important, right? We have to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and empowering the next generation, right? Because what I'm stating is that we didn't get the information. So people can blame it on us all day, but really information should be passed down. Knowledge has to be passed down. And so if someone dropped the ball, if the baby boomers dropped the ball, then the Gen X's and they didn't pick it up, then now the millennials drop, so it's a perpetual thing, right? And so let me ask you, what is it that you have coming up at your center, and what is it that you currently need from the community?
Okay, so we have so many things coming up. We can just start with for our youth and our children. So every fourth Saturday, every fourth Saturday we host a dance workshop. Now, this can be an opportunity for parents to put their children and introduce them to something that they may even later on in life excel in. My daughter, she's one of our legacies. She's one of our children that started at 5 years old, and now she's 27, and she's graduated with her dance degree. You know, the first child in my family to graduate from college. You know, that's huge. And so we have that every fourth Saturday, our dance workshop. And then every third Friday, we create a space for like-minded individuals, faith-based clean. Because we got to remember, just like we have clubs and all these things where kids can go and get into things, we should have spaces where they can come and get poured into, where they can come and be free amongst themselves, no judgment, be around like-minded individuals. And we call that our praise jam. So that's definitely faith-based. And then once a month, we have our town hall wealth community where my partner Stephanie Miller-Henderson comes and we're giving information to the community, our Latino families, our African American. We really want to kind of push this information into these particular communities. And on the 29th of this month, we have our Black Professionals Networking event. And so there are so many different things that are going on. You ask, what can people do to help? Share the information. All the time, it's not just you coming and bringing a package. You coming and buying something. Because I've heard so many excuses. Sis, I couldn't get over there to buy this. I couldn't buy that. How about your time? When you believe in something and you say you're somebody's friend or they started a business, a small business, the least thing you can do is share the information with somebody. Yeah. Share the post. Come over and say, how can I serve with you? Mm-hmm. You know, servitude is still something that's present. I think we want to be successful so much. We want to chase the dollar. I'm a boss. I'm a CEO, and we are forgetting to serve. Like we're forgetting to serve people. Do you know that's the biggest blessing in the world? Amen. To serve and partner with other people, and because divided we fall. I mean, together we stand. Divided we fall. Yeah. And so that's our mission over here. We don't gatekeep. I partner with so many people that don't have a building. And when they come in here, guess what they say? This is our building. It's not just Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center. This is a hub for creativity to meet purpose. And that's what we're doing over here. So people can send donations and they can share or they can come and serve. That's what we need.
That is phenomenal. And I thank you so much for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center, the founder, Karshina Washington. The center is located at 9210 South Commercial Avenue. And as it relates to the wealth building movement, we are hosting a community town hall from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And it's free and it's open to anyone ages 18 and over. We will also have Spanish speaking assistants there. But this is open on March 15th at 1 p.m. And then on March 29th, if you are a Black professional or Black business owner residing in Chicago, please come out, RSVP for our networking event. It's free. It's free. The only thing we want to make sure we do is support the center, right? So this is not about, us getting money from each other, because we know that if we help people get what they want, if we help enough people get what they want, and it's a Zig Ziglar, then we will in turn get what we want. So the money, the wealth is going to come. But if we are being separate, if we are gatekeeping, if we are not helping our brothers and sisters, we are not going to win that way. And so if you want any of this information, you can definitely follow me on Facebook at Stephanie Miller-Henderson. As it relates to the wealth building initiatives that I have my hands in, you can also reach out or follow me on Instagram at Stephanie Monique _80. You can also follow me on LinkedIn at Stephanie Miller-Henderson. Thank you so much, Karshina. I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
And Stephanie, make sure you share with them to choose kindness. I forgot that. How can I forget the biggest campaign in the United States? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take care. Love you, sis.
Thank you. Love you, bitch.
All right. And now what she was talking about, and these are ways that you can get involved. And so when you come on March 15th or you come on March 29th, you'll get more information about that. But the Choose Kindness campaign is it started from wanting to give coffee or hot chocolate to those that were standing on the bus stop right there in front of the center. And so now it's going to extend and throughout the summer, whether it's lemonade or snow cones. But if you want more information about that, definitely look up the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center. But definitely give me a call. Follow me on all of the social media platforms. Again, I will be back with you every Wednesday at 12 p.m. with the Legacy Lab, 60 minutes to build Black financial freedom. Be blessed.